Hello everyone, welcome to lecture 3 of Indian Economy Prelim series. In today's lecture we are going to talk about a very important topic, which is growth and development. So we are going to talk about what is economic growth, what is economic development, are these two the same things or are they different, and how do you measure economic growth, how do you measure economic development, what are the indicators. So all these queries will be resolved in this lecture, and as usual, after discussing all the topics, we will look at a few past year Indian economy prelims questions that have come, and we will check ourselves. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's get into the lecture. So before actually diving deeper, let's I have already discussed the lecture agenda, but just for the sake of completeness, let's do it once again. So we are talking about economic growth, we will talk about economic development, and we will talk about how do you measure development or how do you measure economic growth. All of these broad themes would be covered in today's lecture. All right. Okay. So what is economic growth? So, before 1980s, 1990s time, economic growth, economic development, progress, economic progress, all these terms were synonymous. ये सारे terms को एक ही समझा जाता था और interchangeably use किया जाता था. अगर इंडिया इकोनॉमिकली ग्रो कर रहा है तो उसको यही समझा जाता था दैट इंडिया इज़ इकोनॉमिकली डेवलपिंग एंड इंडिया इज़ प्रोग्रेसिंग. बट लेटर ऑन विद टाइम few economists came into being and few other thinkers came into being, and they said it's not necessary. ऐसा हो सकता है that आपका इकोनॉमिक प्रोडक्शन बढ़ रहा है, आपकी जीडीपी बढ़ रही है, बट ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है कि पॉवर्टी ख़त्म हो रही है, लोगों के लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड्स बढ़ रहे हैं, हेल्थ अच्छी हो रही है, एजुकेशन अच्छी हो रही है. दीज टू थिंग्स आर नॉट डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल. वन इज़ नॉट ट्रांसलेटिंग इनटू द अदर, and that is when this bifurcation of growth and development came into being. So now let's talk about what exactly is the meaning of economic growth, how do we measure economic growth, and then once we are done with that, we will see what is economic development, and these days how are we measuring economic development or what are the parameters that are involved. Okay, so let's first talk about what is economic growth. Okay, अब economic growth को समझने के लिए एक simple example ले लेते हैं. In the previous lecture the same example कि we are producing computers and we are producing cycles. Okay, so 5 computers and 5 cycles बना रहे हैं. अब in the year 2021 and in the year 2022 what happens, 6 computers and 6 cycles बना रहे हैं. So अगर सिंपली आपके प्रोडक्शन में इंक्रीज हुआ है, आपकी जीडीपी ग्रो हुई है, रियल जीडीपी, उसको हम सिंपली कह देते हैं देयर इज इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ इन द नेशन. So simply the increase in production is termed as economic growth. Okay, so it is increased economic capacity to produce goods and services. तो आपके कैपिटल गुड्स बढ़ रहे हैं, आपके फाइनल गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बढ़ रहे हैं ओवर टाइम, दैट वुड बी टर्म्ड एज इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ. ओके, अब इसको मेजर कैसे करते हैं, हाउ डू वी मेजर इट? वी मेजर इट बाय एन इंक्रीज इन कंट्रीज जीडीपी और जीएनपी और पर कैपिटा इनकम. सो जो भी मेजर्स हैं, ऑल द मेजर्स विच मेजर हाउ मच प्रोडक्शन हैज़ हैपेंड इन द इकोनॉमी इन अ पर्टिकुलर ईयर, if there is a increase in country's GDP over time, we call that economy is growing. So there is economic growth in the nation. Okay, so we talked in the previous lecture that GDP can be bifurcated. How? So GDP can be written as consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports, right? So if any one of the components of GDP, consumption, investment, net exports, any of the component is increased, we say that economic growth has happened. So चाहे कंजम्पशन में इंक्रीज हुआ हो, चाहे इन्वेस्टमेंट में इंक्रीज हुआ हो, या फिर गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग में इंक्रीज हुआ हो, या आपके एक्सपोर्ट्स इंक्रीज हुए हैं. सॉरी, government spending is not usually included because that is in the hand of the government to always increase the government spending, but consumption, investment and net exports अगर increase हुए हैं, then we can say that okay, economy has grown because the components of GDP has increased, so it will be called economic growth. But as discussed, it will not give you a real picture of the prosperity of the economy. आपको रियल पिक्चर नहीं मिलेगी कि व्हाट इज़ द लेवल ऑफ पॉवर्टी, आर पीपल हैप्पी, आर दे गेटिंग हेल्थ सर्विसेज, आर दे गेटिंग एजुकेटेड, व्हाट इज़ द लिटरेसी लेवल इन द इकोनॉमी. सो यू विल नॉट be able to answer any of these questions merely by knowing that your GDP numbers have increased, right? So there is no way that you can find out whether this increase in GDP has brought out any benefits to health, education, opportunities and all those aspects, okay? So it will not give you a real picture of how prosperous the life of citizens is becoming, okay? And it is quantitative in nature. So there are numbers that you have to measure economic growth. So GDP number, per capita number, numbers like that, okay? And economic growth is merely concerned with increase in economy's output. So as long as the economic output, economic production is increasing, we say that economy is growing, okay? This has no connection whatsoever with what is happening in the real lives of people and whether this GDP increase is translating to better living conditions for the citizens of the country, okay? So this was the discussion about economic growth. So then what are the measures जो हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, जेंडर, वर्किंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ ये सब के बारे में बात करते हैं. सो नाउ वी विल स्विच आवर डिस्कशन टू हाउ डू वी फाइंड आउट इफ द वर्किंग कंडीशंस, लाइफ, हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, they are improving or not, okay? So now let's talk about what is economic development. So we talked about economic growth. It's just the increase in GDP numbers. It's quantitative in nature. It does not tell you anything about how prosperous the life of the people in the nation is becoming. So it could happen that GDP is increasing merely because of 1% people becoming very, very rich, and you don't know whatever is happening to the remaining 99% of the people. They might not be earning so well. So your GDP might grow, but there is so much inequality in the economy that prosperity is not there. So for that discussion we will talk about economic development. So what exactly is economic development? It is an increase in living standards, improvement in self-esteem needs and freedom from oppression, as well as greater choices for the individuals, for the citizens of a country, okay? So आपके लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड्स इंक्रीज हो रहे हैं. लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड इंक्रीज करने का मतलब क्या है? आपकी हेल्थ इम्प्रूव हो रही है, आपको हॉस्पिटल से एक्सेस इंक्रीज हो रही है, आप हॉस्पिटल जा पा रहे हैं, आप एजुकेशन ले पा रहे हैं, आपके पास चॉइसेस हैं, अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ बढ़ रही हैं, आप अच्छी क्वालिटी का खाना खा पा रहे हैं, आप एक हाई प्रोटीन डाइट ले पा रहे हैं. जो भी लेट्स से आपकी फैमिली में किड्स या ओल्डर पीपल या फीमेल्स को जो भी न्यूट्रिशनल रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं वो आप दे पा रहे हैं. दैट वुड बी कॉल्ड राइज इन लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड्स, ओके? इम्प्रूवमेंट इन सेल्फ इस्टीम needs, so you feel positive about yourself, you feel that you can do things, you are not always depressed, okay? Freedom from oppression, so nobody is oppressing you, you are not under the fear of something wrong happening with you, because maybe you are from a particular set of the society. You are free from all those oppressions, and you have greater choices. So you have greater choices to work, to study, to express yourself. Whenever you have all those things, you will say, whenever there is an increase in any of these things, you will say that economic development is happening. So it is associated with change in socio-economic progress of the country. तो आप पहले गांव में रहते थे, कम रिसोर्सेज के साथ रहते थे, धीरे धीरे लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड बढ़ रहा है, आप बच्चे बाहर जा रहे हैं, पढ़ रहे हैं, दैट ऑल दीज काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स विल बी coming under economic development. So development relates to growth of human capital. So जैसे जैसे इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, स्किल्स इम्प्रूव हो रहे हैं, ह्यूमन कैपिटल फॉर्म हो रही है. अगर आपकी इकोनॉमी डेवलप हो रही है तो वर्कर्स ज़्यादा स्किल्ड हैं, ज़्यादा हेल्दी हैं, ज़्यादा हैप्पी हैं. ओके. डिक्रीज इन इनइक्वालिटी फिगर्स. सो इनइक्वालिटी ज़्यादा बढ़ नहीं रही है. There is no gap between the people who have resources and the people who don't have. So whenever there is a huge gap, huge inequality, economic inequality, then it leads to unrest in the economy. People usually feel कि okay, at least we should have access to this much, उतना भी नहीं मिल पा रहा है, living standards अच्छे नहीं हैं. Then this leads to unrest in the economy. And structural changes that improve the general population's quality of life. So quality of life improve करना, living standards improve करना, all of these things come under the purview of development. अब इनको measure कैसे करते हैं? बहुत सारे indexes हैं जो अलग अलग organizations ने prepare किए हैं, जिससे आप अलग अलग countries में एक तो कंपेयर भी कर पाते हो, और एक विद इन कंट्री डिफरेंट पैरामीटर्स में आपको स्कोर दिया जाता है. ओके. सो यू मेजर इट विद द हेल्प ऑफ HDI, ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स, HPI, हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स, GDI, ग्रॉस डोमेस्टिक इंडेक्स, आई गेस. सॉरी, it's I think it's gender development index. Okay. All right. So this could be quantitative as well as qualitative in nature. You can measure qualitative things also, and you can measure quantitative things also, depending on which aspect of the development you are measuring. Okay. So this was the entire background, what is economic development, क्या क्या चीज़ें आती हैं, कैसे कैसे measure करेंगे. Now we will dig deeper into how do we measure economic development. जैसे हमने GDP के बारे में बात की थी, अब economic growth अगर आपको measure करनी है, simply look at the GDP numbers. Now if you want to find out what is the economic development, you look at these indexes that we are going to talk about now. So I am just giving you 30 seconds to scan what all is written here. All right. So let's just look at what are the different measures, so that you know that there are enough measures by now using which we can measure economic development, and then we will talk about a few of them in detail. Who publishes them, what is the rank of India, what are MDGs, what are SDGs. Okay. So the first index that we have is Human Development Index, HDI. Second index is Gender Inequality Index, GII. There is a gender gap report. So female और male gender के बीच में अलग अलग पैरामीटर्स में क्या क्या डिफरेंसेस हैं. Gross national happiness. So this is a concept which is quite popular in Bhutan, and it is a part of the way Bhutan conducts its economic policies. So we will talk about that. Genuine progress indicator, global hunger index, ग्रीन ग्रॉस डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्ट, सो यूजुअल जीडीपी जिसके बारे में हम बात करते हैं उसमें हम लोग कभी भी इन्वायरमेंट के बारे में बात नहीं करते हैं, जितना भी प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है उससे इन्वायरमेंट को कितना इफेक्ट हो रहा है वो सब लॉसेस हम लोग अकाउंट नहीं करते हैं. So this is a new measure wherein we account whatever losses are happening to the environment because of the production that we are doing. So the green GDP, we will also talk about MDGs and SDGs. So Millennium Development Goals, which were present from 2000 to 2015, and now SDGs are operational. They began from 2015 and they have a target to achieve till 2030. So we will talk about a few indicators and a few goals right now. Okay, so different reports are published every year, countries are ranked, and that's how you get some sort of a reality check that actually your economic growth might not be actually resulting in economic development. Alright, so now let's talk about some of these indicators in details and what are the parameters involved. Okay, so first we are going to talk about Human Development Index. So हर इंडेक्स का फंडा क्या होगा, हर एक कंट्री के लिए कुछ कुछ पैरामीटर्स वो लोग डिसाइड करेंगे. जैसे अगर हम ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स की बात करें, देयर आर 3 पैरामीटर्स दैट दे मेजर. वन इज हेल्थ, सेकेंड इज एजुकेशन, and third is standard of living. So they decide the parameters that they want to measure. वो parameters को measure करने के लिए they will have some criteria. Okay, so for example for health they measure life expectancy at birth. So when a child is born, what is the expected age till which he or she will live. Okay, so you are measuring health using this indicator. Then second criteria is what? Education. Then how are you measuring education? So for the adults who are above the age of 25, you are measuring what is their mean years of schooling, and for the kids who are who are entering the school or still like 5th, 7th, 8th such classes, you are taking what is the expected years of their schooling. So you are measuring the education level in a nation using these 2 indicators. And finally, standard of living, you are measuring standard of living using gross national income at per capita level at purchasing power parity in terms of US dollar. I will talk about what exactly this is, but my objective right now is how are these indexes created. So there are a few criterias. You pick how do we measure that criteria, and then you combine it in a index. Okay, and since you want to compare different countries, how are they ranking, so you are you take indicators which are not very different, or there are no measurement errors or such problems exist across countries. Okay, so how are indexes formed? You pick criterias. Here we picked health, education and standard of living, and then you pick how will you measure each criteria, and then you combine them to form an index, and then you compare different countries. Okay, so this was the idea of forming the indexes. Okay, so now let's talk about Human Development Index. So this index was introduced by United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and in their first report, Human Development Report in 1990s, and who was involved in it? So Mehboob ul Haq, along with Amartya Sen, Indian, a very famous Indian economist who is also a Nobel laureate. He was also involved in coming up with this index. Okay, so this was first introduced in 1990 in the Human Development Report by UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So now, since it's an index, what are the criteria? So you measure health, you measure education, and you measure standard of living. Okay, and then how are you measuring each of them? I just explained life expectancy, I explained education. Now let's talk about how are they measuring standard of living. So standard of living is being measured by what is the gross national income per capita at PPP. So what is this PPP? It is purchasing power parity. So what is purchasing power parity? We need to first understand that. Okay, so what is purchasing power parity? Suppose you are in India, okay, and you buy a piece of bread, and you are in India, okay, so it costs you 40 rupees to buy a piece of bread. But let's say you are in USA, okay, and a piece of bread is going to cost, let's say, $2. So this piece of bread is going to cost $2 in USA. So if we don't do any kind of adjustment and we simply see what is the cost of this bread in USA and compare it with Indian rupees, what do we get? Suppose $2 is 70 rupees. That means the cost of this particular piece of bread in USA in terms of rupees is going to be rupees 140. But these two things are not equal, right? And since you have to compare countries while measuring HDI, so you need a measure by which you can compare the countries. So what do? We pick a basket, okay, a basket of goods, and we find the cost of that basket of good in India, in USA, and in all the other countries, and we use that measure to adjust the ग्रॉस नेशनल इनकम पर कैपिटा, ताकि एक पैरिटी रहे, परचेजिंग पावर पैरिटी रहे कि हर बास्केट ऑफ गुड सेम ही लेवल ऑफ कॉस्ट में खरीदी जा रही है. ओके, सो परचेजिंग power parity balances out the difference in buying the same basket of good across countries. And why is this being done? So that you can compare GNI per capita across countries. Okay, all right, so standard of living is found out using gross national income per capita at PPP level in terms of US dollars. Okay, so these are the three parameters: health, education and standard of living. I have told you how do each of these is measured, and using this an index is formed and countries are ranked. So if we look at India's rank, India is ranked at 131 position out of 189 countries in the index. So this is the latest data. I think this is 2021 data. I would you can check also once if this is correct or not. So India is ranked 131. So 189 countries में से India का rank है 131 on Human Development Index. So that means yes, India is performing quite badly using this criteria of economic development. All right, so another example of another economic development indicator, let's look at that. So this is global gender gap report. So एक report है which is being published by World Economic Forum, and this was started in 2006. So what does it do? So it benchmarks 156 countries on their progress towards gender parity. सो जेंडर के बीच में कितनी पैरिटी है, जो दो जेंडर्स हैं हमारे पास. नाउ देर आर अदर्स ऑल्सो, बट जनरली जो दो जेंडर्स हैं मेल एंड फीमेल, उनके बीच में कितनी पैरिटी है, कितनी इक्वालिटी है इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिफरेंट क्राइटेरियाज. ओके, सो 156 कंट्रीज़ को रैंक किया जाता है डिफरेंट क्राइटेरियाज पे, और उसको कंबाइन करके एक इंडेक्स बनाया जाता है. सो यू गेट ओवरऑल रैंक ऑल्सो एंड यू गेट इंडिविजुअल रैंक्स ऑल्सो इन डिफरेंट पर्टिकुलर क्राइटेरियाज. सो क्या क्या डायमेंशंस हैं? फर्स्ट, economic participation and opportunity. So what is the difference between what is the difference between the participation in terms of doing jobs and in terms of how much opportunities do males and females get? What is that difference? Education attainment में difference क्या है between male and female? Health indicators में क्या difference है? And survival. So health and survival meaning mortality rates क्या हैं, while giving child mortality rate में differences क्या हैं between the two genders. Political empowerment है कि नहीं, what is the participation in politics, how many seats are they getting. So ये these four criteria, these four dimensions पे the difference between male and females is measured and then an index is created. Okay, so the funda will remain same. You will have some dimensions, you will have some criteria, you will have some way to find the number. So there must be a way to measure this, there must be a way to measure this, this and this. Then you pick those numbers, you combine them and you create an index. Okay, so in this index the highest possible score is going to be 1. Okay, and the lowest possible score is going to be 0. Okay, so 0 would mean inequality, and perfect 1 would mean perfect equality. Okay, so if you are, and this is half, if you are closer to this, that means there is quite a lot of parity between the two genders, and if you are closer here, that means there is a widespread inequality between the two genders in your country. Okay, so if you talk about the position of India, India is among one of the worst performers in South Asia, and its rank is 140 among 156 nations. So I think this is the data from 2022, which was I think released in February or March. I am not sure, but you can just check. But I think this is the latest data for this report. Okay, so this report is published by World Economic Forum, and India is performing quite poorly in this particular index, and we can see that happening also. There is a huge gap, there is a lack of involvement in politics also, lack of opportunities and services in health also, and education attainment also. We can see lots of girls dropping out early because of various reasons, and the economic involvement of female is also quite low in India. So we can see the reasons for such a low rank for India in the Global Gender Gap Report. All right. So now there is another thing. So we had talked a bit about it. So gross national happiness. So GDP just measures what is the market value of all the final goods and services. It does not take into account anything else. So Bhutan's king Jigme Singye Wangchuk in 1972, he came up with this term, he coined this term, and what was the reason for doing that? He wanted to define an indicator that measures the quality of life, the social progress in a more holistic way, in a psychological way. And he just didn't want to talk about the production numbers, how much production is happening, how much are you producing, this and that. So he wanted a more holistic approach towards measuring the the performance of the economy and not just looking at the economic indicators. So that is when this concept came up. And how is this calculated? So gross national happiness is an index which is formed by the averaging per capita of a few different criteria. Again the same thing, and what all dimensions are involved. So they look at economic wellness, is the production increasing, is the income increasing. They also look at how well the country is environmentally also. So it might happen that in order to grow economically, you are doing more and more pollution, your rivers are getting polluted, your air is getting polluted, and in the name of growth, you are entirely doing that and not taking into account the bad and disadvantages of that growth. Okay, so this index takes into account the environmental wellness also, physical wellness of the people, mental wellness of the citizens, social wellness also, and political wellness also. So all these dimensions are taken into account while calculating gross national happiness in Bhutan. So this is particularly, it's a philosophy that is imbibed in Bhutan's way of conducting policies. So this is how the government of Bhutan takes lots of decisions. Okay, and so this particular idea is quite related to Bhutan, but UN also publishes a World Happiness Report. So they also have a report coming up every year. So it's almost a decade that they have they keep posting up with this report, and the rank of India is 136 out of 146 countries in 2022. Okay, so you can say that compared to other countries, India seems to be quite unhappy. And do you know which is the most unhappiest country in the world? Meaning, which country had 146th rank? So, any guesses? I'm sure some of you must have guessed it. So that is Afghanistan. With whatever is happening currently, the political scenario, because of that also. Okay. So yeah, there's just one comment that I want to make. Just check if which ranking is this. I think it is 2021 one rank, but just check once. Okay, all right. Similar lines, there is another index, Global Hunger Index. So it tracks what is the level of hunger globally and country wise. What is the level of hunger in your country? It is calculated by International Food Policy Research Institute and first released in 2006. Different components that they measure. First is undernourishment, child wasting, child stunting, child mortality. So wasting means अगर आप एक बच्चे की उम्र के साथ चीज़ें कंपेयर करो तो वो अंडरवेट तो नहीं है. ओके, चाइल्ड स्टंटिंग मीन्स जितनी उसकी ग्रोथ होनी चाहिए उसकी उतनी ग्रोथ नहीं हो रही है बिकॉज ऑफ अंडर नरिशमेंट. एंड चाइल्ड मोर्टैलिटी, सो kids dying at different levels of ages, so and undernourishment. So all these indicators are measured and combined into a global hunger index, and different countries are ranked. So the idea is same. You have some criteria, you pick indicators, you find, and then you rank. Okay. So another thing that we have is green GDP. So what is green GDP? It's an index of economic growth with environmental consequences of that growth factor also. So how do we measure green GDP? So we have the GDP. Again, what else do we add? So we try to put a money number into the damage that has been done because of that production. So it monetizes the loss of biodiversities, and it also accounts for the cost caused by climate change. So climate change is happening because of more and more production happening, and because of more production, forest deforestation is happening, overuse of ocean, all those kinds of things are happening. So when you try and put a number to that, and when you add that to your original GDP, that would be called a green GDP. Okay, so one of the indicator could be what of measuring the environmental friendliness would be what is the per capita CO2 emission per year for a country. Okay, because CO2 emissions are causing climate change. So you keep a track of how much how much per capita level is a country emitting. Now moving on, so those were all the indicators. Okay, then now we can talk about, so what happened or what happens is multiple countries, almost all the countries come together, they discuss things among themselves and they plan that, let's say these are the goals that we want to achieve within a particular time frame. So all these kinds of activities are usually conducted by the United Nations. So United Nations came up with a set of goals that the countries were supposed to achieve within a particular time frame. So that is when Sustainable Development Goals and Millennium Development Goals came into being. Okay, so what was sustainable, or for that matter, what is Sustainable Development Goals? So at the United Nations Sustainable Development Summit in 2015, all the world leaders adopted the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. So all the world leaders understand the need for sustainable development. We cannot keep hampering the environment all the time. We also have to, we just cannot talk about economic growth. We also have to look at the development aspect. We have to remove poverty. We have to look at climate change. All these things need to be catered. So world leaders came together and they set a target for 2030 to achieve a certain set of goals. Okay, so it included a set of 17 sustainable development goals, and it included ending poverty, inequality, injustice, and tackling climate change by 2030. So the period for which it will be operational is 2015 to 2030. Okay, so अगर 2015 में कुछ हो रहा है, मतलब क्या पहले भी ऐसे कोई गोल्स बने थे? Yes, the answer is yes. So before 2015 we had Millennium Development Goals. So 8 international development goals for the year 2015. मतलब, so from 2000 to 2015 some targets were set, which for and where do these targets were discussed? In the Millennium Summit of the United Nations in 2000. So these 8 goals were decided in the Millennium Summit of 2000, and a timeline of 15 years was given to achieve those 8 goals. Now we will quickly take a glance at what these goals were. So we will quickly go through, see what all those goals were. Okay. Alright, so if you look at Millennium Development Goals, they talked about eradicating extreme poverty and hunger, achieving universal primary education, promoting gender equality, reducing child mortality, improving maternal health, combating HIV, malaria and other diseases, ensuring environmental sustainability, and global partnership in order to tackle all different kinds of challenges. Okay, so these were the goals which were targeted for the period of 2000 to 2015. You can see how many of those were fulfilled. So there are reports which tell you what is the level of goals that were achieved, and in 2015 25th September Summit there was an updation from these 8 goals to 17 goals, and these are the Sustainable Development Goals. So again, no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reducing inequalities, economic inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production. And it also talked about climate change and taking care of the life that is below the water, so ocean health, lake health, river health. and it also talked about life on land, so taking care of the air also, peace, justice and strong institution, and partnership among countries for achieving different goals. So this was the set of sustainable development goals that was set in 2015, and a time of 2030 has been assigned to achieve these goals. It's good to have goals, then only you can step into the direction of achieving them. How many we achieve, that doesn't matter, but at least we should move in that direction. That is very important in life also and in general also. So these were the sustainable development goals. Now with this we are done with the concepts that we needed to discuss in the growth and development part. So now let's get started with doing the questions on this topic. Let's look at the first question. Okay, it's question 2 written here, so this must be error in typing, so ignore that. This question came into prelims 2018. Let's read the question. There are few statements that are given to you and you have to tell which of these statements are correct. So let's read and let's see which one of them is correct. Okay, so human capital formation as a concept is better explained in terms of a process which enables. So we are talking about human capital formation and we want to see which of these process will better explain human capital formation, or it will result in human capital formation. So these 4 statements, out of these 4 statements we have to look at which of these processes will result in human capital formation. Okay, so let's read each of the statement and see which one is correct or not. Okay, so the first one is individuals of a country to accumulate more capital. Agar individual of a country are accumulating more capital, that is an increase in fixed capital or physical capital. So that has nothing to do with human capital formation. So we know that this is not true. This is not right. Okay. Now the second one, increasing the knowledge, skills level and capacities of the people of the countries. Yes, ह्यूमन कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन का एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा होता है लोगों को अपस्किल करना, उनको एजुकेट करना, उनकी प्रोडक्टिव कैपेसिटीज़ को बढ़ाना. ओके, सो येस, दिस इज़ ट्रू. This is how we will explain the process of human capital formation. The third one is accumulation of tangible wealth. Tangible wealth, tangible का मतलब होता है ऐसी चीज़ें जिनको आप टच कर सकते हो. So if you accumulate tangible wealth, human capital formation is majorly what, कि आपके पास skills कितने हैं, knowledge कितने हैं, आपकी capacities क्या क्या हैं, ये सब. So that has nothing to do with tangible wealth. So this is also out of the picture. And what is the fourth one? Accumulation of intangible wealth. So ऐसी wealth को accumulate करना जो intangible है, in terms of your skills and all other things, that would be a part of human capital formation. So human capital formation as a concept is better explained in terms of a process. ऐसा process होता है human capital formation which enables what? Knowledge, skills and capacities increase करना and accumulation of intangible wealth. So which option is correct? So option 1 and 3 are not correct and 2 and 4 are correct. So the answer here is C. Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay. So who among the following constitute the National Development Council? So there is a National Development Council which is involved somewhat in the day-to-day work. Planning Commission जो है उसकी activities को further monitor करना, उनको implement कराने में help करना, वो सब National Development Council looks at. Right now, after the coming of Niti Aayog, this institution is somewhat not operational. Meetings are not happening and things like that. But this was a question that came in 2013 when Planning Commission was still there. So okay, so now let's look at the question. Who among the following constitute the National Development Council? So the first is Prime Minister, second is Chairman of Finance Commission, third is Minister of Union Cabinet, and fourth is Chief Ministers of the State. So Prime Minister is a member, yes. Ministers of Union Cabinet, yes. And Chief Ministers of the States are also the member of National Development Council. Only the Finance Commission Chairman is not. So which option is correct? 1, 3 and 4. So option B is correct. Okay. You can read more about what all activities this National Development Council used to undertake, but as of now in the year 2022 this is somewhat a non-functional institution. Okay, all right. This came into prelims 2012. Let's look at it. Consider the following specific stages of demographic transition. Demographic transition associated with economic development. So जैसे जैसे economic development होता है, so जैसे जैसे economic development होता है, ऐसे demographic transition होता है. ओके, डेमोग्राफी क्या होती है? स्टडी ऑफ पॉपुलेशन. हाउ इज़ द कॉम्पोजिशन ऑफ योर पॉपुलेशन चेंजिंग, किस तरीके से पॉपुलेशन जो है वो इवॉल्व कर रही है, उसको बोलते हैं डेमोग्राफी. तो देर आर डिफरेंट स्टेजेस ऑफ डेमोग्राफिक ट्रांजिशन एसोसिएटेड विद इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट. सो स्टार्टिंग में इकोनॉमी बहुत ही अंडर डेवलप्ड होती है, फिर डेवलपमेंट कर रही होती है, और फिर एक डेवलप्ड स्टेज आती है. So these are the different stages associated with that, and they want us to give a correct order of the stages कि पहले कौन सा हुआ, फिर कौन सा हुआ, फिर कौन सा हुआ. Okay, so let's try and see what happens when. Okay, so at underdeveloped levels, जब डेवलपमेंट ज़्यादा नहीं है, तब फर्स्ट टेल मी हाई बर्थ रेट्स होते हैं कि लो बर्थ रेट्स होते हैं? टेक अ मोमेंट एंड थिंक अबाउट इट. सो लो बर्थ रेट्स होंगे कि हाई बर्थ रेट्स होंगे? सो यूजुअली लोअर लेवल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट पे क्या होता है? बिकॉज ज़्यादा एक्टिविटीज़ नहीं होती हैं, यूजुअली फीमेल्स स्टे एट होम, दे डू देयर वर्क. ज़्यादा आउटसाइड काम वो लोग नहीं करते हैं. एंड जब अंडर डेवलपमेंट होता है तो हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज़ भी ज़्यादा नहीं होती हैं. सो हाउ डू पेरेंट्स मेक डिसीजन? दे मेक लॉट्स ऑफ किड्स, क्योंकि अगर एक बच्चे की किसी कारणवश मृत्यु भी हो जाती है, सो देन दे हैव मोर हैंड्स टू take care of the family. So at the underdeveloped level what happens is higher birth rates. So हायर बर्थ रेट्स सबसे पहले तो ये इन दोनों में से ऑप्शन होना चाहिए पहला. उसके बाद जब अंडर डेवलपमेंट होता है तो डेथ रेट को क्या होना चाहिए? शुड इट बी हाई और शुड इट बी लो? सो जब भी अंडर डेवलपमेंट है मतलब अच्छी फैसिलिटीज़ नहीं है, हेल्थ केयर फैसिलिटीज़ नहीं है, तो डेथ रेट भी ज़्यादा होना चाहिए, राइट? सो डेथ रेट शुड ऑल्सो बी हाई. ओके, सो विद अंडर डेवलपमेंट कम्स higher birth rate and higher death rate. Okay, so second जो है वो सबसे पहले हमारा होना चाहिए. So the answer is either B or C. ठीक है. Now let's look at the other stage. उसके बाद जैसे जैसे धीरे धीरे economy grows, I mean it develops, what happens is technology आती है, धीरे धीरे लोगों के पास एक्सेस होता है मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज़ का. सो क्विकली सबसे पहले चीज़ क्या हो जाती है? डेथ रेट्स जो है वो कम हो जाते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ एक्सेस टू मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज़. और बर्थ रेट जो है वो उतना क्विकली नहीं चेंज होता. क्यों? बिकॉज ये जो डिसीजन है टू गिव बर्थ, ये एक लैग के साथ आता है. कितने बच्चों को पैदा करना है, कितने बच्चे हम लोग पढ़ा पाएंगे, ये सब डिसीजंस थोड़े लैग के बाद इकोनॉमी में आते हैं. अगर मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज़ इम्प्रूव हो रही हैं तो क्विकली आप क्या कर सकते हो कि लोगों को मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज़ दे के उनकी डेथ्स क्विकली रोक सकते हो, राइट? बट डिसीजन ऑफ हाउ मेनी किड्स यू विल हैव, दिस पर्टिकुलर फिनोमिना टेक्स टाइम टू चेंज. सो सेकेंड स्टेज में क्या होता है? देर इज़ हाई बर्थ रेट एंड लो डेथ रेट. सो फर्स्ट सबसे पहले ये होता है, फिर ये होता है, और फिर जैसे जैसे और इकोनॉमी डेवलप होती है, फीमेल ऑल्सो स्टार्ट्स वर्किंग एंड थोड़ा न्यूक्लियर फैमिली में लोग रहने लगते हैं, प्राइसेस राइज एंड ऑल, दे अंडरस्टैंड हाउ हार्ड एंड I mean they don't have time to have so many kids. The kids that they are having, they are not dying. तो पहले they were having many kids because they thought कि one or two, if by chance dies also, they have kids who can support. So final stage is low birth rate and low death rate. So this is the third stage. So the correct order is second, third and first. So the answer is C. So this is the demographic transition theory. So with the help of this question we also did one theory also. Okay, so the correct answer is C. Now let's look at another question which also came in prelims 2011. Which of the following can aid meaning can help in furthering the government's objective of inclusive growth. इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ क्या होता है? इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ मतलब लोगों को इन्वॉल्व करके जो ग्रोथ होती है, कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग, अगर ग्रो तो कर रही है बट ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग उस ग्रोथ का हिस्सा बने, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक वो ग्रोथ के फ़ायदे हों. तो इफ़ गवर्नमेंट वांट्स टू एड दैट, विच ऑफ दीज can help in the government's objective of doing inclusive growth. So kya would help in inclusive growth? So promoting self help group, yes it will aid, ताकि लोग ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा businesses कर पाएँ small scale में. Within community self help groups will help. Promoting micro, small and medium enterprises, yes this will also help in inclusive growth, because these are the industries which need most help, right? Whenever there is economic growth, the big players definitely will be a part of that growth, they will benefit from it, but these players need help. Okay, so if you promote these, this will help in inclusive growth. And implementing the Right to Education Act, this will also help, because the moment there is more literacy, more people getting educated, this will result in upskilling and more people getting the opportunities to work. So this will also help in inclusive growth. So all these three statements are correct. So the answer is going to be 1, 2 and 3. So the answer is D. Okay. Now, okay, so turns out this is the same question that was repeated again. So let's move on to the another one. Okay, the seventh question which came in prelims 2013. Okay, so economic growth in country X will necessarily have to occur if, so this is country X, which or like what should happen so that this country X definitely has economic growth. This is the question. Economic growth in country X will necessarily have to occur if. So what happens that this country definitely has economic growth? So these are the options. Let's read them together. That okay, so there is technical progress in the world economy. So technically there is progress in the world. So whenever there is progress in the world, doesn't necessarily mean that your economy is going to benefit from it. What if you are a closed economy, or maybe you are not interacting with the world, you're not trading with the world that much. So this is not a definite condition, right? There is population growth in X. Okay, population is growing. Does that mean anything for economic growth? Not necessarily. If your population growth is not bringing many people, if your environment is such that you are not able to provide employment to them, they are a burden. So this also does not mean that your economy will grow definitely. The third option is there is capital formation in X. So you are creating capital, machinery, infrastructure. There is capital formation in X. So whenever there is capital formation, it is bound to have to bring in economic growth, because the productive capacity of the economy will increase, and this increases how much production can happen, and increase in production is basically what is economic growth. Okay, so this is correct, but just for the sake of completeness, let's also look at option D. The volume of trade grows in the world economy. So अगर trade volume बढ़ रहा है पूरे economy, that doesn't mean your economy is going to benefit from it. So this is also not sure, like it's not definite. So only for option C we can definitely say that this will result in economic growth in country X. So the answer is C. Alright, so let's take one more question, and after that we'll wrap up the lecture for today. So alright, so consider the following statement. You're given two statements, you have to tell which is correct, both, neither, one or two. Okay, so economic growth will always lead to inflation. What is inflation? Rise in the price levels in the economy. मतलब पिछले साल अगर 100 रुपये में कोई चीज़ मिल रही थी, अब वो 110 रुपये में मिल रही है. दिस इंक्रीज इन प्राइसेस इज कॉल्ड इन्फ्लेशन. So economic growth will always lead to inflation. This is one statement. Second statement is economic growth will always lead to a fall in poverty and increase in per capita income. Okay, so let's dissect each of these and see which one of them is correct. Okay, so economic growth will always lead to inflation. सो अगर आपकी जीडीपी ग्रो कर रही है, अगर सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स जितनी इंक्रीज हो रही है उतनी ही डिमांड है, डिमांड और सप्लाई में अगर मिसमैच नहीं है, देन यू विल नॉट हैव अ केस ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन. Inflation happens whenever there is a mismatch between demand and supply. Supply is not proportionate to how much demand there is. So it's not necessary that economic growth से inflation जो है बढ़ेगा. So this statement is not correct. So because it says will always, मतलब हर circumstance में, that is why this is a incorrect statement. The second statement says economic growth will always leads to a fall in poverty and increase in per capita income. Okay, not, this is also not necessary. What if economic growth जो है सिर्फ rich लोगों को benefit कर रही है, then in that case what happens? Poverty remains the same, right? So this is also not true. And increase in per capita income. So suppose your economy is growing, but your population is growing at a faster rate. So in that case your per capita income is also not increasing. So this is also not correct. So the correct answer is D, neither one nor two. Okay, so these are the kind of questions that you can expect in your prelims from this particular topic on growth and development. And with this we come to an end of this lecture. Thank you so much for joining us. See you super soon in our next lecture, which is lecture 4, which will be on economic planning in India. Till then, take care, have a good day. Thank you so much.